If we're only animals, murder's not wrong. If we're only animals, rape is not wrong. If we're only animals, there's no such thing as theft. But everybody, including atheists, knows that there are objective values, that some things are right and other things are wrong. Now, we're so familiar with sin, we're not very often stirred by the evil deeds of other people unless they put their hand in our pocket or interfered with our children or made an advance to our spouse. We're so familiar with sin. But once it comes close, we say, that's wrong. But if we're only animals, it wouldn't be wrong. If naturalism were true, if there's no God, then all our thoughts are just accidental processes. And you shouldn't trust anything that comes out of it, including your atheism. Because it's just an accidental product, see? If my mental processes are determined wholly by the accidental action of atoms, I have no reason to believe that my beliefs are true, including the belief that my mental processes are determined by atoms. Right? So when you and I come in contact with the gospel and we come in contact with Jesus, these are the things we've got to think about. Once you grant that there is such a thing as right and wrong, you have granted that there's a God. Otherwise, there's no one who commands, and there's no one who prohibits. And if there's no God, as Dostoevsky said, everything's permitted. But you and I don't believe that. We don't believe people should steal from us. We don't believe that people have a right to hit us over the head and take our wallet. You and I know there's such a thing as right and wrong. C.S. Lewis says in his book, Mere Christianity, two things are the basis of all clear thinking. One, there is such a thing as right and wrong. And two, we don't always do the right and we often do the wrong. Therefore, the need of the gospel. Here I am, an erring, faulty creature. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a neighbour, I'm a professed Christian, I'm a teacher, I'm all sorts of things, but I'm not perfect at any of them. I'm a sinner. I pray the Lord's Prayer in effect many times a day. Forgive me my trespasses. So without the gospel, we're done for. The promise in the gospel is that one would come whose blood would be sprinkled over the broken law, because the man shedding his blood would pay the penalty for that broken law. That all our sins would light upon him. And I repeat, if he has paid the price of my sins, there's no need for me to pay it. Once you see it, you've got it made. You'll stumble, but you'll stumble your way to glory. Doesn't matter. You're accepted. There's no condemnation. You have everlasting life. You have the verdict of last judgment. That's the gospel, dear friends, right? Now, who has believed our message? Let me ask you a question or two before we stop. What is a human being? Well, without breath, forgive me what I now say, few pounds of putrefying fat, smelly water, and some chemicals. That's what a human being is without breath. Few pounds of putrefying fat, smelly water, and some chemicals. Now, here's an electric light bulb. What is this electric light bulb without an electric charge? Well, it's glass, it's a filament, it's a bit of metal. The problem is no one's ever seen breath and no one's ever seen an electrical charge. The invisible makes all the difference about the visible. I've told you this story before, I'm sure. When I debated an atheist in Sydney, question and answer session, a man stood up and said, well, he said, I don't believe in anything I can't see. I say, you believe you've got a brain? The unseen, The invisible makes all the difference to the visible. We don't see breath. We don't see electric charge. But breath means life. Electric charge means life. Look, here's a diamond. Oh, the chemist says all it is distilled carbon. A woman says, no, it's cosmetic glory. Well, what is it? Just carbon, or is it glory? I'm reading a love letter. The dog puts his nose over my arm and looks at the black marks on the page. Doesn't know why I'm so intrigued. Mind you, I'm thinking back a few years now. But the dog can't work out why I'm so intrigued. All it sees is black marks. The invisible, the intangible, makes all the difference to the visible and the tangible. All the difference. Here's a woman in a cave stable. Who is she? Oh, just a Jewess. Oh no, she's the mother of God. Who's that little baby there in the manger? Oh, he's just a Jewish child. No, he's the maker of heaven and earth. Things are not always what they seem. Who hath believed our report? Unless people understand what you and I are now thinking about, they'll never believe. It's the invisible that makes all the difference to the visible. The surgeon takes out your brain. God forbid, but just imagine. He has a jelly-like mass with fissures and clefts. Grey. But the invisible makes all the difference to the visible. That little chaos can take in the whole universe and thoughts about God. Now here's a book, one of the most atrociously printed books in the world, black cover. Who likes the colour black? Not a lot of pictures in it, you know. You've got to distinguish between form and function. It's the invisible that makes the difference. See? No one's ever seen the Spirit of God moving on the face of the waters, but he did. No one ever sees the Spirit of God moving into your heart and mind, but he does. Must distinguish between form and function. You open a transistor and you show it to an uncultured savage and say, what do you make of that? He said, well, I see coloured wires and dabs of what you call metal. That's all I know. You say, oh no, that's the form. You don't know the function. And I show this book to the atheist. He says, oh, that's just a lot of rot, old literature hundreds of years back, full of myths and fables. I say, no, you only know the form. You don't know the function. You don't realise that the invisible makes all the difference to the visible. Let's take a break.